Other forces that would eventually give birth to the modern veterinary profession were already at work. For example, several decades earlier, a cattle plague had devastated herds throughout Europe, threatening a food supply already made tenuous by the wars. This led to the foundation on August 4, 1761, of the first veterinary school in the world, in Lyon, France. Practical concerns about the medical care of horses for war and cattle for eating were two threads that wove together with others and led, ultimately, to the foundation of the veterinary profession as we understand it today. One of these threads was the dawning of a more modern conception of empathy towards animals. The suffering of horses emerged as a topic of great concern among the middle and upper classes of Western Europe and Great Britain. Deeply empathic relationships with animals had existed at various times in history in various cultures around the world, but this was the start of a sustained change in the West. Only a little over a century and a half prior, in 1637, René Descartes infamously declared that animals were automata, mere meat machines, whose cries when injured were no different than the screech of metal on metal in a foundry. Descartes' opinion was commonly held and used to defend vivisection, the live dissection of an unanesthetized animal to demonstrate the anatomy in the living state. This is unimaginably cruel and pointless to the modern mind, but was commonplace at the time and seen as perfectly rational. It's interesting to note that Descartes had a little dog named Monsieur Grat, who apparently accompanied him everywhere, and whom the philosopher spoke to and was visibly affectionate towards. Did Descartes make an exception for Monsieur Grat? Was he truly unmoved if his little companion cried out? I doubt it. Human philosophies are subject to change through history, but human emotions less so. And humans have always been subject to hypocrisy and self-serving rationalizations. By the 1760s, the dominant philosophy was shifting, as we can see in Voltaire's Treatise on Tolerance. It still seems to me that one must never have observed animals in order not to distinguish among them the different voices of need, suffering, joy, fear, love, anger, and all their affections. It would be strange if they expressed so well what they wouldn't feel. It was the age of enlightenment, and what we can call the circle of concern was finally beginning to expand. For millennia prior, only wealthy and powerful men were deemed worthy of society's full benefits, attentions, and concerns. Women, with a few notable exceptions, lay outside this circle of concern, as did children, foreigners, the poor, the different, the unfortunate. Animals were so far beyond the edge of the circle of concern that no reasonable person could foresee their inclusion at any point in the future, no matter how distant.